Hi everyone, today I'm going to be talking about the status and rights of women in the 1920s and the emergence of flappers. So just to give a little bit of context, here's what was going on for women before the 1920s. So they lacked many basic rights, many jobs were unavailable to women, and the main role was to just have and take care of children. Women were encouraged to act proper, which means wearing long dresses with restrictive corsets that were very hard to dance in, as well as no drinking or smoking. Now for the 1920s, it started off a little bit better with the passage of the right to vote for white women. Women were increasingly joining the workforce, but they were limited to women's jobs. These women's jobs include domestic servants, clerical workers, factory workers, and store clerks. Although it was better that they were able to join the workforce, they still faced unfair wages, sexual assault, and discrimination. For example, men's wages in 1927 were $29.35, while women's were only $17.34. Now that they were a part of the workforce, they could participate in the new mass consumerism culture and became a target audience for cosmetics, kitchen items, and cleaning products. The 1920s also had the introduction of flappers. I'm sure many of us have heard this word before, but what are flappers exactly? The word comes from Britain before World War I, and they were known as the first ever party girls. The word was used to describe young women who were breaking the societal norms of the 1920s. Flappers can be pictured wearing short-cut hairstyles, smoking cigarettes, wearing makeup, dancing, and wearing free-flowing short dresses. You can see them pictured to the left. Now, how can we use this to understand The Great Gatsby? Well, the girls in yellow are flappers. Here's a quote from one of them. "I like to come," said Lucille. "I never care what I do, and I always have a good time." Lucille is one of the girls in yellow, and she talks about how she likes to come to Gatsby's parties, and the carelessness of her action embodies a flapper, as the whole point of a flapper was to break the norms and not care what other people think. A more main character is Jordan Baker, who is also a flapper. She is unmarried, has short hair, wears makeup, dances, drinks, and likes to party. You can see her pictured to the left as how she was usually cast in movies. She looks exactly like the description of a flapper. And here's a quote from her. "I like large parties. They're so intimate. At small parties, there isn't any privacy." Now that we know what it was like for women before the 1920s and during the 1920s, where are we now 100 years later? An example of a modern-day flapper who still pushes the limits of what is acceptable for women is Cardi B. She has sexual lyrics in her rap songs that are meant for women empowerment. This has been outrage for people, while male rappers have been sexualizing women since the beginning of rap. It is one of the many double standards that still exist. There has been many improvements in the last 100 years. All Canadians have equal rights by law, but other countries are not so privileged. Even in countries like the US, male-dominated fields of work still have a wage gap. There has been many improvements, but there's still room for work. Thank you for listening, and I hope my connections to The Great Gatsby and modern day help you understand the status and rights of women in the 1920s and the emergence of flappers.